All right. 1 2 1 2. Sorry about that. I had a bit of some mic issues there. I thought the mic was on for the first couple of minutes, but now here we are. Split decision win by. so Raleigh was defeated tonight by Cruz. An insane freaking turn of events, right? That was an absolute upset. Now here we are. We have Errol Spence live right now on the stage talking to Fundora after a split decision win over Tim Kostazoo. Am I saying his name right? Is it Kostazoo or Tszyu? Or obviously, yeah, it's something to that extent. But either way, yeah. Errol Spence is in there and he's looking to get a get back fight, and it's going to be a world title fight against Fundora. It's going to be an interesting challenge. Obviously, he's coming off of that win. Okay, so now here we are in the second round with Chris Weidman taking on Silva. As on the other side of the screen, we are witnessing Errol Spence confronting Fundora after his fight. So sorry about that. Had to change the there we go. Had to change the thumbnail to this particular content that I'm doing right now. So how is everybody? Did everybody enjoy that fight with Tim Kostazoo and Fundora? And how about the fight that's going to happen perhaps with Errol Spence and Fundora? How is that fight going to look? All right, so now here we are, Chris Weidman. In the first round, Chris Weidman, what he was doing was sort of throwing kicks literally with his bad leg, which is really interesting to say the least, right? Now, what was his motivation to throw with his bad leg? Maybe perhaps he knew that if his leg was going to go out at any time, especially being that it's a bad leg, well, perhaps maybe he would just use it very early on, right? Rather than having it fail later on and never being able to use it. So maybe that was the logic behind it. And again, you got to think now, what is the state that Chris Weidman's leg is in right now as we're witnessing this fight? 329, 327. There's Bruno Silva going forward with the 1-2 punch. And we have just witnessed the end of Tim Kostazoo taking on Sebastian Fundora, being embraced by his family, his sister, who's also a world champion boxer, and now being confronted on the stage in a friendly way, of course, against Errol Spence, coming off of his loss from Terrence Crawford. And now here we are, Chris Weidman, with 3 minutes left in the second round, getting backed up. And he looks like he's sort of favoring that leg in a strange way. I don't know if he's still really healed up from that or not, but here we go, 240 left into the second round. And we still got more UFC for the rest of the night as I'm covering the rest of the boxing card that had happened tonight. What's going on here? I believe there's a little bit of some eye poke here. So it was a very bloody fight between Kostazoo and Sebastian. Very, very bloody, right? Also considering the fact that, look, he went in there close range, got hit with an elbow because, hey, when you got an opponent like Sebastian, right, it's very easy to get cut by a guy who's that tall and that skinny. And especially you come in close range, he's got his guard up. And again, it's very easy to get in there and, and get hit in that kind of matter. But very unfortunate for Kostazoo tonight. Loses his undefeated streak. And Fundora now becomes a world champion at super welterweight. Also, the Raleigh Romero fight. I got to tell you, a lot of people are really going to look down on Raleigh Romero for that fight because, look, whenever you have a guy that plays up a villain like that, similar to Colby Covington, boy, let me tell you, they will trash you for talking all that smack, and then all of a sudden you lose, right? And that's kind of the booze that you heard post-fight after he was saying to everybody, hey, happy Easter, Jesus has risen just like I'm going to rise and come back from this. And by the way, a very reasonable language to use, right? Anybody and everybody uses this type of language after a fight. So what's the big deal, right? But it is a big deal when people want to trash you for talking your smack and never really delivering, unfortunately. So That is the reality that we have going on right now. So now Sebastian is at the top of the 154 division right now as we are watching Chris Weidman going to work against Bruno Silva at the current moment of time. Now, how about that other fight earlier tonight? We're going to go over all the other fights in the boxing card and also in the UFC card as we're watching this live right now. Obviously, the Chris Weidman fight is the first card that I'm watching live. I've seen all the other fights tonight. We're going to talk all about it. And don't forget to like and subscribe as you guys have tapped in to the Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA channel. And I'm going to go over with you all the fights that are going on tonight while we are witnessing Chris Weidman versus Bruno Silva in the second round right now with just under 60 seconds left, 50 seconds, 49, 48. Chris Weidman sort of measuring his jabs right there. Total significant strikes right now, 31 for Weidman. Looks like Weidman sort of rocked Silva there. Oh, misses. This could hit him with a knee. So let me know what you guys think was your favorite fight of the night in the boxing card and in the UFC card too. We still got more fights to go. There's the Joaquin Buckley and the Vicente Luque fight going on, and obviously the main event with Blanchfield and Manon Farut. And there goes Chris Weidman right now going to work at Bruno Silva. 10 seconds left, hitting him with straight shots, backing him up against the cage. Bruno Silva's got his hands up. I think he's going to survive the round. There we go. All right. So there you have it. Also tonight, how about the, I believe Pulev had a fight tonight against a Polish fella. Let's see how that had went. Let's see if I can find the highlights for that fight tonight. Okay, so this fight went a little bit longer. I may have to cover that later and check that out. Let's see here. We're going to go to Tapology to take a look at the rest of the fights with Tszyu and Fundora. Boxing bout. Here we go. Yes, so far Chris Weidman is looking really good in this fight. Really, really good. I mean, like, it kind of shows you the kind of level that he's at. Look at this. Bruno Silva's doing a little head bow before the fight. So Rolando Romero loses to Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Michael Zafera, how about this? This was surprising. Landy Lara knocks him out in the second round. By the way, very insane story with Michael Zafera, by the way. Obviously, his wife is sort of on having some serious health issues at the current moment and then having to go into this fight. You got to imagine, right? That sort of affected him in a negative way. What is this? A little foul on Silva right now, a little timeout. I believe he was low blowed in some kind of way. All right, let's take a look at the replay right here and see what happened. Okay, it was a poke in the eye that sort of stopped the action there. So that's what had happened right there. A little bit of a poke in the eye. Silva was going for a very long jab, and Chris Weidman sort of tried to intercept it with his own jab, sort of a parry-like type of movement. And unfortunately, that parry turned into poking his eye out, hence why we are in this timeout in the current moment of time. There it is, little thumb in the eye, at least on the part of, yeah, it looks like they both gave each other a thumb in the eye. How about that, right? Yeah, so as I was saying earlier about Romero and Isaac Cruz, So a lot of people were booing uh Romero when he was in his post-fight speech talking to Jordan Plant. Jordan Plant sort of pressed him on the issue. Hey, you said that he was going to be very, very easy to hit. He obviously wasn't very easy to hit. And as a result, what had happened? You said that you were going to knock him out. You didn't knock him out. And then obviously he said something to the effect of, well, I want to wish everybody a happy Easter. Jesus is risen, just like I'm going to rise and come back from this. And again, sounds like a very wholesome statement that anybody would make, right? But the fact that you went out there and you talked your trash, a lot of people are going to basically downplay you for that. That's just what's going to happen. Kind of like with the Colby Covington thing, right? After Colby Covington lost in his last fight against Leon Edwards with the attendance of Donald Trump, what did he do? He tried to divert it away from himself and talk about Trump's election and saying, yeah, we're going to make America great again, or this and that, and basically taking it away from his own spotlight and his own mishaps and his own downfall in that current moment of time. So here we go. Chris Weidman right now doing really good against Silva right now live as we are witnessing this fight unfold. So 318, 316, 315. Chris Weidman's got a little bit of bruising in the eye right there. I wonder where that came from. And how about Errol Spence going into ring against Fundora afterwards? Right now, that would have been oh, what is this? Chris Weidman rocked him. Now he's got him on the ground and pound position. Chris Weidman just finished him right now. Very good. Very good performance by Chris Weidman. He gets a win, by the way, in a city in which where he has the regional scenes out here in Atlantic City. And he just got that win tonight. And I think Silva is protesting something to the extent of he's got his eye poked out, and very controversial at that. So let's take a look at the other fights that we've had going on tonight, right? Nusraltan Razubiov beats Dumas in a first round TKO finish. And then before that, you had Kyle Nelson gets a first round knockout as well, basically a standing TKO. Chidi Njoku gets a decision win over Reese McKee. Very close fight, by the way. No takedowns on both guys. Was basically a striking affair the entire time. But Chikiti Norinjani had a 69% total strikes, which basically won him the fight as a result of it. And there we go. So Chris Weidman basically hits him right behind the ear. And as he is going down, he's holding his eye. Yeah, he got punched clean, but he probably believed that he was eye poked. So how about this? Another first round knockout tonight by Nate Landwehr, right? I mean, Jamal Emmers sort of knocked him down also in this fight, but Nate was able to get the knockout as a result, just showing his sheer toughness. I mean, this is the type of guy that if you want to go bang for bang with him, he's just going to outbang you because that's just what he does, right? And again, Jamal Emmers made a great account of himself. He nearly knocked out Nate, but it was Nate that basically got the victory by the end of the night. And Verna Genderoba gets the decision win tonight. Obviously wins the fight just based on her grappling prowess over Lupi Guidones. And then Julio Arce gets a second round knockout against Herbert Burns. That was a great fight. Now, how about this? The former Air Force Special Forces soldier, Connor Matthews, takes on Dennis Bazooka. Bazooka gets the win, third round knockout. Ibu Aslan takes on Anton Turk. Now, what's interesting about this fight, right? They both fought each other in the regional scene, right? And I believe Anton had gotten the best of him Now, Ebo, the Turkish, had come in here, the last Ottoman, gets a third round stoppage against this guy to basically redeem himself. Now, how about Andrei Protosky and Jacob Malkin? Talk about another really strange card in terms of like just weird finishes, right? The way that he had gone down, I think that the top of his head sort of got affected when he tried to shoot for a double leg and it hit the hip of Jacob Malkin. Then he goes down and Jacob Malkin finishes him off with some soccer kicks to the body, which, by the way, is completely legal because it's not to the head, and finishes him off as a result. Now, in the first fight of the night, Calhoun Lorcan takes on Angel Pachoa. And in this fight, Calhoun Lorcan, the Irishman, and his whole entire corner was basically saying that we were going to go for the body. We were going to go right there because he was weak in that area. Sort of had the better grappling tonight. 3 out of 4 takedowns, 51% strikes, 52% into significant strikes, outstriking Angel Pachera, and ends up winning. And now here we are with Chris Weidman getting his TKO third round finish, waiting for Vicente Luque to take on Joaquin Buckley while we are also covering the boxing fight that had happened tonight. So let's listen in to Chris Weidman talk right now. He said he's giving it up to God for his victory. He was talking about some of the hardest surgeries that he's had going through in his career. Yeah, he said, I think that I may have touched your eye on the way down, but you can't drop to the ground like that. Very interesting. So there it is. Now, Michael Bisping is addressing that. Why were you throwing all those kicks in the same leg that you had gotten injured? He said that his brain wouldn't feel the leg kick, so that's why he was throwing those leg kicks from the very beginning. He's given a shout out to New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, and everybody in the tri state area. Great job on Chris Weidman on this one. He said he's just got done beating a guy that beat a lot of good fighters. He said he wants to go back and watch that one. He said he's progressing even at 39 years old and that you can do whatever you want to do. He said, surround yourself with good people who believe in you and don't surround yourself with people that don't believe in you. What a great message by Chris Weidman. Very good, wholesome message by Chris Weidman. By the way, I'm still over the moon about that Fundora fight against Tszyu and the Pitbull Romero fight. The boxing match with Isaac Cruz upsetting Romero. And obviously, the crowd gave him a lot of crap for it. And what do you expect? He was talking a lot of smack going into it, and that's just what's going to happen. They got the Born in the USA song playing as Chris Weidman is taking some photos with Wonderboy Thompson and Longo right there. All right. Well, next we got Joaquin Buckley and Vicente Luque. All right. Well, back in the win column for Chris Weidman in that one, huh? Yeah, that fight with Errol Spence and Fundora is going to be a good one, but I think Tszyu should get the rematch first with a proper notice for Fundora before Spence comes in. Now, look, he can fight the winner. I think Spence, in my opinion, probably beats both guys. Light middleweight is looking like a pretty good division now. All of a sudden, with Fundora being the champion, and I mean, look, it's always good to have a champion that has these size advantages like he does, right? So now they're previewing the UFC 300 card right now. Raleigh gets stopped in the eighth round. The eighth round, he gets stopped. Yeah, it was a very good fight. And you know what? He was rocking him that whole entire fight, really. Yeah, really well done to Fendora. Quite a likable guy, but obviously, if it wasn't for the cut and the daft switching up of the opponents at a 12 days notice, then maybe it would have been a different outcome. But at the same time, hey, it's a great fight either way, but one can't help it would have been a different outcome with just these interesting circumstances of a 12-day notice, very similar to Kamaru Usman and Volkanovski coming into their last fight, as you know. So, yeah, it wasn't really looking good for Raleigh while all of that was happening. So, yeah, they're showing the preview to the Alex Pereira and the fight with Jamal Hill, which, by the way, as I've said over and over again, was the most highly unlikely main event for this fight. But hey, it is what it is. It's Hill and Pereira as it is. So there we go. By the way, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe as I am covering for you the two fights that are going on tonight. The last two fights of March 2024, which is UFC Atlantic City and Tim Costazu defeated by Sebastian Fundora, with also the greatest upset, one of the greatest upsets in that particular division's history, Isaac Cruz beating Romero. Now, look, that's not really a big upset, right? But what it is when you got a guy that trashes, that talks trash the way that Romero does, people want to see you fall. And then you look at someone like Isaac Cruz, he's a very humble guy, tough Mexican fighter, and people just wanted to see him win. And this is the result that you got out of it. So, what do you guys think? Who do you think's going to win between Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill? A lot of people are sort of picking Alex Pereira straight away because obviously he has the bigger star quality power about him. But man, Jamal Hill is a dark horse that you don't want to sleep on. So we're going to see what happens from here. UFC 300. It's going to be. All right. There it is, UFC 300 card. By the way, guys, don't forget to check out my video that I made, countdown to UFC 300, and also the latest video that I had made today announcing the new fight between uh, Izzy versus Dricus Duplessis for UFC 305 in Perth, Australia in August. Now that's going to be an interesting one right there. So the co-main event is up next right now. Yeah, that's interesting. I did not know Vicente Luque was born in New Jersey, but then was raised in Brazil. What an interesting life story he's got going on there, right? But obviously made his career the way that it is because living down in Brazil, I'm sure you'll get nothing but good training down there as a result of that particular environment. So up next now is Joaquin Buckley and Vicente Luque. If you want to check out the post-fight review that I did for the other fights in this card, and also with you all with Romero versus Cruz and Sebastian versus Tim Costazu. Just rewind this right here. But right now we are live as we are about to witness Vicente Luque warming up back there with Gilbert Burns and awaiting Joaquin Buckley to walk in the cage. So all right. So still awaiting the arrival of Joaquin Buckley and Vicente Luque. You're in for a treat on this one, right? Because the one thing I can tell you about Vicente Luque is that he brings nothing but violence. However, when it comes to Joaquin Buckley, what he brings is just sheer excitement and unpredictability. And the athleticism that he has sort of lends itself to that unpredictability that he has going on. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this fight is going to unfold, right? Is Joaquin Buckley going to catch him with some sort of flying knee, some sort of flying kick, spinning attacks, or will Vicente Luque catch him while they get themselves into this crazy, insane brawl of a fight in which Vicente Luque is really known for dragging guys in? He dragged Tyron Woodley in a fight like that. And by the way, Tyron Woodley usually fights a very technical fight, and perhaps maybe the reason why he decided to go that route and just really go balls to the wall with him was maybe because Tyron Woodley was fighting for his job at the time, or maybe it's just that Vicente Luque is the type of guy that is able to really take you in that roller coaster ride. So we shall see. In the meantime, while we're waiting for the fights, let's take a look at all the other fights that they've had going on tonight. Obviously, I went over the Michael Zafara fight, the Landy Lara fight. I went over the Rolando Romero fight, the Isaac Cruz fight, and I went over the Sebastian Fundora fight, the split decision. Let's take a look at the other fights of the night. Jay Martinez versus Angelo Cordova. Did that fight happen? Okay. Carmel Morton gets an eighth round decision against Anthony Cuba. Siri Bochak gets a 12-round decision over Brian Mendoza. 8-round decision win by Mirko Sueli taking on Solomon Sagawa. Eighth round decision. And what else was here? Kaipo Galagos gets a decision win against Eric Howard. A lot of decisions here during the night. And then Adrian Neves gets a decision against Stephen Walker. And that was the prelims for the Costa Fundora versus Brawley and Pitbull card, which is basically the first pay per view of PBC of the year, right? I remember I made a video about PBC not getting a pay per view yet during the year. I urge you guys to take a look at it. Obviously, this was the culmination of that particular event and the anticipation of such. And now, speaking of anticipation, we're just now awaiting Joaquin Buckley to get in the cage against Vicente Luque. And once again, for those that are tapping in, don't forget to like and subscribe as I give you guys full coverage of some of the hottest combat sports events that are going on around the world. boxing, MMA, maybe even Muay Thai, maybe even BKFC. I got a buddy of mine who fights in BKFC, a guy who I've trained with, Idris Wasi. Maybe I can cover BKFC during that week. It's going to be on Eid weekend on Eid week, by the way, on the same week as UFC 300. So that's going to be an amazing week in and of itself. So I may cover that fight as well. I don't think I've ever done a live coverage of BKFC before, but I think that should be really interesting considering that my buddy is in it. So now, for those of you that don't know, Joaquin Buckley knocked out the current PFL champion at the 205 division, which is what's his name? Impa Kasangai. And I believe he took on Johnny Eblin in that Saudi Arabia PFL versus Bellator card. And now here we are. Joaquin Buckley still in the UFC. And Vicente Luque is about to get in there and fight Joaquin Buckley, one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC, two of the most exciting fighters in the UFC, by the way. So, again, very privileged to be able to cover this particular fight, considering how exciting these two guys are. UFC 300, I may or may not do a live coverage, but we shall see. Obviously, I will give you guys the heads up, maybe on the computer, on the community tab and whatnot. So here we go. More commercial breaks. They got really long commercial breaks in between the fights, right? So again, forgive me if I'm pausing in between, but yeah, just waiting for this fight to happen. Don't forget to like and subscribe and check out all my past videos and the video that I had today with covering Izzy versus Dricus du Plessis set to happen at UFC 305 in Perth, Australia, summertime, August. Giving you a little bit of a preview of that. I called it South Africa History X. Probably the most racist fight that the UFC will ever produce. And I have that on the live section of this particular channel if you want to check it out. And in this particular content, in this live that I'm doing right now, I just covered all of the boxing fights with Sebastian Fundora and Tszyu. Also, the insane upset with Raleigh versus Isaac Cruz. And then I went over the entire card up until now from Chris Weidman and Bruno Silva all the way up to Vicente Luque and Joaquin Buckley, as we are awaiting them to get in the cage, and they are just really, really slow with the pace of getting one fight to the other. Earlier in the night, when Zafara got knocked out, they went straight away into the co-main event with Raleigh and Isaac, straight away, right? But with ESPN, they have to do all these other different commercial breaks. And again, the commercial break for ESPN is nothing more than just a repeat loop of this music that you hear in the background. This right here, right? And then they're showing you the highlights of different sporting events. You see John Jones getting his belt wrapped around him, Eli Manning, Tom Brady, all these other sports figures. And my guess is the reason why they're doing that is maybe the type of TV deals they have elsewhere around the world. Maybe they're playing commercials in between that. And that's sort of like the deal in the package they have going on. But again, we're just sitting here waiting for Joaquin Buckley and Vicente Luque to hit the cage. And more highlights and more highlights. Event break in progress. But hey, that's the ESPN TV deal you have going on. And all right, so here we go. Now we are set. So okay, we didn't even see the entrance with these guys, but anyways, Vicente Luque, 32 years old, Joaquin 29, 5'11 versus 5'10, both 170. Joaquin 76-inch reach, Vicente Luque 75.5. And we are about ready to commence battle. Ladies and gentlemen, is the co-main event of the evening in the UFC's welterweight division. So how interesting is that? Joaquin Buckley is a welterweight, and he knocked out Impa Kasungai, who won the belt at 205. I think he won that fight against him at 185. So and now he's back down to 170. All right, Joaquin Buckley. All right, here we go. All right, fighting out of the red corner, 22 wins, 9 losses, 1 draw. The most exciting and violent fighter in UFC's history right here. Vicente Luque. Here we go. All right, Keith Peterson up at bat as a referee round 1. Here we go. How about that? Oh, there we go. Straight away. Joaquin Buckley hits the center of the cage, throws a kick, flying kick straight away. You can tell this is going to be a very explosive fight. Hold on to your seats for this one. Here we go. Really fast pace going on right now. Back and forth movement. A very fast start from the very beginning. You can tell that this is going to be a very violent exchange as the fight goes on. High kick by Joaquin Buckley right there. Really out putting on a show right now. Low kick by Vicente Luque. High kick by Vicente Luque right there. Both really exchanging with some kicks right now. 357, 356 of the first round. Little kick combination by Buckley. Low kick by Vicente Luque right there. There we go. All right, Joaquin Buckley circling around right now. By the way, have you guys heard what all this fight is going on right now? I'm going to talk to you guys about Usman perhaps fighting Sean Strickland for a rematch. As you know, Usman has a win over Sean Strickland at 170, and perhaps maybe Usman wants to stay at 185. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. They're trying to put that together for UFC 302. And by the way, don't forget to check out my video today, 305. By the way, how weird is that, right? That was my 305th video that I had made, and it was a preview to the UFC 305 fight for Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya, which, by the way, is being worked on behind the scenes to get signed. So now here we are, Joaquin Buckley versus Vicente Luque. Some of the most violent fights that you've ever seen is out of Vicente Luque. At the same time, some of the most exciting highlight reels you've seen out of Joaquin Buckley. And here they are. They are meeting in this battle. We're just about 3 minutes down into the round. We are at 207, 206, 205 of the first round. Low kick by Joaquin Buckley. Another low kick by Joaquin Buckley. Luque really has to check those. Now they're both measuring up, circling around. Switch stances by Luque. Oh, sort of knocks him down or falls, and then he tells Vicente to get back up. The corner of Vicente Luque, or I'm sorry, Joaquin Buckley, tell him to let's go. I don't know exactly what he means by that. There you go, little lateral movement by Joaquin Buckley there, sort of circling around. Vicente Luque as well, sort of circling around as well. UFC 303 is going to be at June 29th. Interesting. All right. We're just about 30 seconds left into the first round with Joaquin Buckley and Vicente Luque. Yeah, not a very violent fight that we expect out of Vicente Luque, right? Obviously, we know that Vicente Luque is very much capable of just being in barn burner fights, but sometimes it just really depends on the type of opponent that he has in front of him. Here we go, shooting for a single leg. Joaquin Buckley stuffs it, at least momentarily, and still stuffs it as he ends the first round. All right, good round so far. Tough round to score. I'd probably have to give that first round to Joaquin Buckley just based on aggression alone. Let me know what you guys think on the comment section below. So in the meantime, while we are watching a UFC card, we're also going to take a look at the post-fight press conference for Tszyu versus Fundora while we are watching this fight. And by the way, if you guys want to check out all the full coverage and the entire card that I've broken down, just rewind back from the very beginning, watch, and yeah, you'll hear all the breakdowns of all the fights in both cards of this particular event that we are covering right now. But we are still awaiting the post-fight press conference for the boxing card. But now here we are live as we are watching in Atlantic City. Joaquin Buckley taking on Vicente Luque. High kick by Vicente Luque right there. Just real fast in and out lateral movement by Joaquin Buckley here, doing a very good job with his pace. A little flying knee right there. Low kick by Vicente Luque again. All right. Now 355, 354, 353 of the first round. A little step in cross by Vicente Luque there. Little swing and a miss by Joaquin Buckley. Low kick by Joaquin Buckley. The corner of Joaquin Buckley is urging him to get on the outside. Slow high kick right there. And I think the reason for that is to sort of fight in the range position rather than fighting close range with Vicente Luque, which, as you know, Vicente Luque really specializes in close range, close quarter combat situations. Whereas with Joaquin Buckley, he sort of really shines with the distance. And this is the reason why his corner right now is telling him to sort of circle away, give distance, sort of keep him at bay at a kicking range. And this is what we're witnessing right now. There we go, a little combination right there, 1-2, and then a little high kick. And Vicente Luque shoots for a double leg, but ends up getting put on his back, now put in a half guard position as Joaquin Buckley is ground and pounding him now in a full guard position, aggressively going for a ground and pound. And Vicente Luque is just blocking away while Joaquin Buckley is going aggressively at the full guard ground and pound position right now. 210, 209, 207 left in the second round. Definitely the round of Joaquin Buckley. The first round was very difficult to score. You would have probably given it to anybody. I gave it to Joaquin Buckley just based on aggression. But this particular round right here is on the verge of becoming a 10-8 round, if not a finish altogether. Now, look at this. Vicente Luque just has no answer for this. He finishes him. Joaquin Buckley gets the finish. Good job, Joaquin Buckley, for getting that finish. All right. Great finish by Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley, really emotional right now, over the moon with that win, covering his face, looking like he's about to cry. That's what I'm talking about. Good job, Joaquin Buckley. All right. So, as you guys know, this is Ramadan in the current moment of time. And obviously, this is a time to fast. This is a time to pray. Now that Joaquin Buckley got that finish, I'm just hang on and bear with me, okay? I'm going to pray while I guess I'm on live stream, but obviously I'm not going to do it with a camera in front of my face. But yeah, you could probably hear me in the background. Don't mind me. I'm going to do a prayer right now, just to get one of my prayers in for the night while we cover this fight. So if you can just excuse me for just hold on a second, okay? We're going to obviously cover the rest of the fight tonight, the main event, and then after the main event, yeah, that'll be that. But we're just awaiting the main event right now. I'm just going to do a quick prayer, and I will be right back as we are covering the win of Joaquin Buckley and also the two boxing fights that had happened tonight with the co-main event and the main event with Raleigh and Isaac and Sebastian and Fundora. Very amazing win by Fundora. Very controversial at that, but also just very bloody. I will be right back. Stay tuned. I'm still going to keep the live stream going, but stay tuned, okay?
Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahus samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Allah. Sami Allah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Sami Allah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. Sami Allah liman hamidah. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
All right. So to everyone out there that's been listening this whole time, sorry about that. I had to do a little bit of a prayer break because obviously it's Ramadan. You got to get your prayers in. And now we await the main event of tonight, as I have covered the entire card for not only the boxing card, but also for the UFC card. And we are just awaiting the main event of Blanchfield and Manun Farot at the current moment of time right now. So once again, great night of fights. Yeah, you know, I don't think I've ever prayed while I was on live stream. And by the way, this is the reason why I'm sort of doing an audio rather than just like, let's say, a video format to sort of just cover the fight, kind of get my voice in, get my takes on this particular matter of the fight. Also kind of cover both fights at the same time while also participating in Ramadan and getting the prayers in at the same time. But here we are covering both fights, awaiting the main event, and having a great night with all of you great combat sports fans of the world. What could be better, right? You know, that's why every day, you know, you gotta love every day like it's your last, right? Because you never know where you're gonna go. You know, on a life story of things, you just never know what's gonna happen. Um, what kind of events, what kind of tragedies that are out there. I mean, obviously, you guys seen what happened in the whole Baltimore situation, right, with the bridge. I mean, who would have thought, right, that these people, uh, you know, the tragedy that had happened that night, who would have thought that that would have been their last night on Earth, right? So, again, you know, you got to appreciate every moment. And what better way to appreciate every moment than doing what you love to do, but also sort of giving your obligation to God as well whenever you can. So here we are as we await the main event of Manun Farut and Blanchfield, the upcoming flyweight in the women's division of the flyweight division. Blanchfield, who has quite a big win in her career over Molly McCann, I believe. So Manun Farut is also a different challenge in and of itself. And we are just about to witness that in a short amount of time just now. So Erin Blanche. Yeah, Molly McCann. She had submitted Molly McCann with a Kimura. And then after that, she had submitted Jessica Andrade back in February of last year. And in this August, she has a unanimous decision win over Talia Santos. And now here she is against Manon Farut. Be right back. Me get my charger for this cell phone so that I can also do the coverage for the post fight press conference for Tszyu and Fundora. Hold on just a second. All right, so I got a little charger for my cell phone right there, so we can put on the press conference as we await the main event for Manon Farut and Erin Blanchfield. You know, I'm going to be very quite honest with you. I don't really care too much about this particular main event, which is why I'm okay with multitasking, watching the the press conference for that fight, the post-fight press conference for Fundora and Tszyu. I mean, for the simple fact that let's just be honest, right? Yeah, you're not going to love every fight in MMA. I used to be one of those people that said, you know what? I'm going to cover every fight. I'm going to watch every fight because I'm a hardcore fan. The truth of the matter is, you you can only have a palate for certain fights, right? Like for example, next week, the Brendan Allen fight. Am I really going to care about the other prelims in that particular fight card? To be honest with you, no. I mean, what about the Brendan Allen fight? Am I going to care about that? 100%. But with the UFC 300 card, I mean, you're talking about having Cody Garbrandt as the first fight. Oh my goodness, that right there is going to be a banger right there. Okay, so from what it seems, the post-fight press conference for Fundora and Tszyu is not right up yet. We're still literally waiting. They're setting up the stage. They haven't gotten through that yet, but now we are witnessing Manon Farut sort of walking out into the cage right now as we are awaiting Erin Blanchfield to get into the cage as well. Okay, so here we are. We have movement right now. Isaac Cruz is now on stage as we are about to await the post-fight press conference of the boxing card that they had earlier tonight in Las Vegas. So we're covering both the UFC fight and the Las Vegas boxing card at the same time with Fundora and Tszyu and Erin Blanchfield. We are awaiting her entrance into the cage, but we are now watching Manon Farut walking into the cage from Nice, France. By the way, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to constantly remind you guys all night long to not only like and subscribe, but also let you know about the new content that I have out right now. Some of the hottest content that is out right now in mixed martial arts YouTube. We have the South African History X live stream that I did, a video about Israel Adesanya and his history and beef with the current middleweight champion of the world, Dricus du Plessis at the time. Okay, so here we go. Now we are
It was a good war, I'd say. Started off well. Fundora's a awkward type of opponent, very tall, rangy, flicks that jab. I feel like I did isolate his punches where I was able to, sort of feel him out.
Yeah, and it was a close fight, really.
The cut did, of course.
And the cut did affect it in some kind of way.
Couldn't see anything. There was plenty of blood, but no excuses. The better man won tonight, and
a really wholesome response by Tszyu there.
And yeah, I want to come back and then do it again and fight the very best out there. I had 1 week notice, but yeah, here's what it is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please raise your hand. And once again, I'll try to get you the mic. Questions for Tim.
Tim, congratulations, always all heart. I don't know if you guys are able to confirm it. Is there a rematch clause, Tim? And do you feel like
that's interesting? Is there a rematch clause?
Of course I would. He's got my belt now, but I'm gonna have a little 2-week rest.
While we are watching the press conference, we are also watching Erin Blanchfield enter the UFC cage right now in Atlantic City.
T-Mobile Arena, it's pretty unreal, so the biggest fights possibly to make, and I'm still chasing it. I still believe I'm at the very top of the tree.
Hi, Tim. Cynthia Conte from Best One's Boxing Show, period. With that elbow going into the corner, what was your trainer or your whole team telling you how to go about in your game plan, since the blood was gushing everywhere? And also, were you surprised that Fundora actually boxed? Because literally everyone thought he was going to be in a phone booth fight with you.
Yeah, because I sort of eliminated his shots to fight in the phone booth. So I think he only had one option, was to fight me on range. And what my team was saying was,
Erin Blanchfield is about to enter the cage right now as we are witnessing the live press conference.
Down like that, and it was like a fountain, just like fountain of blood coming out. Okay, this can't be good.
Tim, right here, Marcus Hayes of Fight Hub TV. First, congratulations on such a wonderful fight. It's sad that there had to be a loser tonight. I wanted to ask you, tonight I talked to Stitch Duran, and he described your cut as the worst type of cut there is in boxing. Once you received the cut and you had been bleeding for about 7 or 8 rounds, did you notice anything physically? Did you feel tired? Did you feel like you were kind of being drained, or was it just bleeding?
No, it was the eyesight was gone. I literally couldn't see. I had to wipe my eyes non-stop. Like, physically, I felt still all right. Still, it was just, yeah, you're fighting with blurry vision. It's not ideal, especially with Fundora.
Tim, just on that, was there any thought to trying to get the fight stopped when you couldn't see it?
Well, for me to tell the ref.
Yeah, or your team, was it a consideration at any point?
All right, so Erin Blanchfield has now entered the cage. We are going to cover this fight when the fight commences, but we are still also going to cover the press conference as well.
And the American commentary team seems to suggest that the corner didn't have the right ointment to fix it. Were you happy with what was there?
All right, so far, Erin Blanchfield, 24 years old, 34 from Manon Farouk, 5'4", 5'7", 125, both 66 inches, a little shorter from Manon at 65, 10 years age difference, and Bruce Buffer is going to announce them in. We are still covering the post-fight press conference for Fundora and Tszyu right now.
You once that fight now with Fundora. So do you get to see that, and what is your reaction to that?
With who? Fundora and Errol Spence?
Yeah, Errol Spence went in the ring and fight with.
Yeah. Interesting. I'd love to fight Errol Spence as well. I went up to him. I go, let me know if you want to get it on sometime.
And with that Las Vegas topic, there was actually a lot of Tszyu shirts throughout the week here in Las Vegas. How did that make you feel fighting so far away from home, but yet there being a big fan presence for you?
Yeah, like the crowd turned up, you know, like it's pretty cool. Like I've gone, sorry, still bleeding. Yeah, I was mainstream in Australia, and my goal was to, you know, step outside of that and come here to the States and have that Mexican type style and go to war. You know, that's what I like to bring. I bring the heat no matter what, like warrior mentality. That's what I'm all about. So I want to appeal to this market and bring these type of like fights. You know, like these are the fights you want to see.
All right, so Manon Farouk is being announced by Bruce Buffer right now as we are awaiting Erin Blanchfield to be announced. Once the fight starts, I'm going to start covering that while I'm also going to listen to the post-fight press conference.
Drastically shifted how this fight went. Can you speak to that? Just maybe how, as far as game planning was concerned, or, even just taking this fight on short notice, how that played into how the fight went tonight?
So now Erin Blanchfield is going to be introduced while we are covering the post-fight press conference with Tszyu and Fundora.
He just came up on top. That's all it was. He was the better man tonight. He won by 1 round, split decision. So look, it is what it is. We move on, and the show goes on.
I just want to say that that's one of the bravest performances by an Australian athlete that we've seen, for a bloke who could not see for 10 rounds of the fight, but still turned up against a very formidable opponent in Sebastian Fundora. And Tszyu an absolute credit to Australia. This is not the end of Tszyu at all. It's just the beginning. It just means that we're going to get that rematch happening, and we'll be ready for more fights.
Well, Tim, thank you. I'm sure this is certainly not going to be the last we see of you here. So once again, Tim.
All right, that was perfect right there. So literally, as soon as that press conference was done, the fight between Erin Blanchfield and Manon Farouk is going on right now. So perfect timing, right? This is why I'm glad I was able to cover both of these things so that I could basically show you the perfect timing that both of these events are synchronizing with each other. So here we are. Round 1 is about to commence with Erin Blanchfield and Manon Farouk. 454, 452, 451, 449 of the first round. Erin Blanchfield goes forward, going with straight action right away. The crowd going USA. And now Fundora is going to come into the booth of the press conference hall where he is going to talk about his victory while we are watching Erin Blanchfield and Manon Farouk. So if you ever look back in history, when you think about Fundora, right, winning his world title tonight, you can always look back and say, hey, that was the same night that Erin Blanchfield and Manon Farouk had their own fight night in Atlantic City. And by the way, if this was during the pandemic, this fight right here would literally be in the Apex Center and not here. So this is, again, one of those other historical factors that you can add into the mix, right? All right, so, Manon Farouk just takes her down, and then Erin Blanchfield gets her in a guillotine, but doesn't really have it, sort of has it in a half guard position, but then rolls her over, and now sort of has a front headlock on her, pushes her up against the cage. In the meantime, let's hear what Fundora is talking about. So here we go. They're about to ask him some questions. I'm going to cover both at the same time, multitask, so bear with me, okay? Erin Blanchfield might get a choke right here. Nope. It's not quite in yet. Manon Farouk is looking for an escape. By the way, it was a great slam that she had on her earlier. Fundora says that he's a legend in the sport and one of the top fighters, so he's sort of happy that he was able to fight him tonight. Oh, he's talking about Errol Spence. I'm sorry. saying that he's a legend in the sport and it would be an honor to fight a legend like that. He's talking about Errol Spence. But here we are, Manon Farouk and Aaron Blanchfield in the center of the cage, 225, 224 of the first round. By the way, great slam by Manon Farouk earlier. I would have not have expected that from her, but she had the right leverage to get her in a body lock and body slam her like that. Now back to the post-fight press conference.
Yeah, it's verbally a rematch cause, but
Okay, so they're talking about there's going to be a rematch for that fight. High kick by Aaron Blanchfield.
And most likely he will have to wait one fight at least, recoup himself, Tszyu, and then maybe we can do it. But definitely it will be in America because it's to be the fight of the year, and maybe we'll do 2 times.
So he's saying that he's going to wait for Tszyu and Fundora to recoup the trainer of Fundora, and they said, yeah, they will do the rematch. So I don't know where Errol Spence is going to fit in that particular equation. Meanwhile, here comes a body lock by Aaron Blanchfield. They're swinging away in the middle of the cage. 1:15 left, 1:14, 1:13 of the first round. Yeah, real close round right here with Manon Farouk and Blanchfield as we are also watching the post-fight press conference between Fundora and Tszyu. $50 left of the first round with Blanchfield and Manon Farouk.
You know, this is was a tough fight. We knew we had a tough opponent in front of us with Tszyu. We knew we had a tough opponent with Bolashuk. So we had a hard camp. And I was ready for whoever they throw at me. It could have been a Mike Tyson. I'm not going to say that, but it could have been anybody. It could have been anybody, and we were ready for it.
Indeed, he was definitely ready for that. Meanwhile, here comes Aaron Blanchfield. Underhook body lock. Manon Farouk got her backed up against the fence, sort of fence fighting right here for the last 15 seconds.
Fundora y para Samson López. Felicidades, por cierto.
Yes, I think with this fight, we really showed.
All right, now that is the end of the first round between Aaron Blanchfield and Manon Farouk. I could see this fight going to 5-round distance, to be quite honest with you. Meanwhile, let's go back to the press conference right now as we are covering this fight as well with Aaron Blanchfield and Manon Farouk.
You know, on 2 weeks' notice, it's short notice, but they came and they supported me. They supported us like they supported Pitbull. And I'm just happy that all the Mexicans won today, and then let's continue to do it.
Well, one more time, en español. Bueno, hicimos nuevamente historia.
Oh, yeah, that slam right there with Manon Farouk. But then as soon as she slammed her down, she tried to get her in a guillotine choke, but wasn't really tight. It was in a half guard position and just so rolled out of it. Here we go.
Nunca existió, es histórico. What I'm saying is we make history.
All right, here we go. Round 2 with Aaron Blanchfield and Manon Farouk, while we are also covering the post-fight press conference as well.
Sebastian Fundora is a champion. Never ever happened in boxing to be a female and male champion at the same time. So I'm very happy to be part of that.
That is quite historic, to be quite honest with you.
Sebastian, congratulations, young man, on a great win. My question to you is: the WBO orders you to fight Crawford next, or you'll be stripped. Under any circumstances, will you vacate the WBO belt to fight Errol Spence?
Whatever they give me. Errol Spence is a great opportunity. I think it's a match made in heaven. But Terrence Crawford is the best fighter in the world. I would like to fight him.
Oh, here we go. Okay, wait a minute. While Aaron Blanchfield was going for a takedown, she sort of misses, and then Farouk almost landed on her from a full guard position, but then they get back right up from this scramble back to the press conference.
Family effort with the Fundoras. Sebastian, I'm sure you've heard a lot of critics and doubters say, Fundora can't stay disciplined enough through this fight. he'll eventually, after a few rounds, go back to brawling. But this time, despite the distraction of all the blood, you did stay disciplined. Can you tell us a little about that and whether you heard those comments prior to the fight?
Those comments, they never reach my ear. I'm sure they're always there. Everybody has opinions. That's the thing about life. Everybody's gonna speak their own views and thoughts. But you know what? I had a whole year. I had a whole year of camp since I lost with Mendoza, and we've been working. We've been working on our defense. We've been working on sitting back. We've been working about using our jab. So it's it all came out in the fight. I hope you guys saw it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it.
And speaking of jabs, Erin Blanchfield is hitting her with some jabs straight away right now. Back in the body lock position with less than 3 minutes left in the second round.
Sebastian. It's funny, I sat with your sister the other day on my live stream and we talked about how you fight. And I asked, why does your brother fight on the inside when you don't use necessarily your reach and your height and your length? And she said, that's because it's in his blood. It's that Mexican style. What more do you want? We saw something very, very different. And I told Tszyu the same exact thing. Did you?
And I think that difference in the way that Fundora fought against Tszyu tonight is what really made the difference.
Talk about that. Coming off of Gail's question.
Again, we've been working very hard for a whole year, trying to fix my mistakes. This is the first of many. You guys know I can find the inside, and now you know that I can find the outside. So,
all right, so now we have 2 minutes left in the second round of Blanchfield. This is Manon Farout.
That's what you guys will see.
Okay, last question here.
Sebastian, congratulations over here to your left. Good job. I wanted to ask you seriously, like when that was going on in the ring and it was so bloody, what were you thinking? And ultimately, what did you learn about yourself tonight?
I thought to myself, hey, it's kind of stick in here. No. But, that I've been through stuff like that. Since I was 8 years old, I used to bleed from my nose all the time. So, blood's nothing crazy for me until they draw it from my arm. But other than that, there's nothing new. We fight on these stage. We're modern day gladiators, and I hope Amazon Prime Video got a good first show, and I'm glad that I made history today.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you to your entire team. What a way to kick things off. PBC Prime Video, the towering inferno, Sebastian Fundora, World Unified Champion in the Super Welterweight division.
All right, congratulations, Fundora. Now back to the UFC card right now. Here we go. 40 seconds left in the second round. So far, Manon Farout isn't giving a bad account of herself. I really would have thought Blanchfield would have dominated this one, but I think that she's sort of given her some problems along the way right now. We got about 25 minutes left, sort of a kick attempt right there, misses. Back in a close range position, over under, now they're broken away. Squared up again. 10 seconds left in the second round. So I believe that is it for the post-fight press conference for Tszyu versus Fundora. I've been calling him Costa Tszyu the entire night. I don't know if that's the correct way of calling him or if it's Tszyu or whatnot. But if you heard me earlier in the stream, I was calling him Costa Tszyu. So forgive me if I got his name wrong. But again, this is why he's a star in Australia and he's not a star here, right? That's the reason why he came here to fight, to become a star. And lo and behold, you know what? Boxing is boxing, fighting is fighting, and anything can happen. And this is just what we have in front of you right now. So now we are going into the third round with Manon Farout and Erin Blanchfield, as we had just now witnessed the post-press conference of Tszyu versus Fundora. And Fundora was saying earlier that, yeah, you know what? He's used to getting nosebleeds. He used to nosebleed a lot when he was a kid. But again, I think that elbow that hit Tszyu earlier in the night really factored a lot with the blood that was gushing out of him and may have affected him in a way where the blood may have gotten in his eye, may have affected his vision a little bit. And again, it affected the fight. But where does this fight go in terms of a rematch? Is Fundora going to face Errol Spence in the process, or is he just going to uh, fight Tszyu with Tszyu exercising a rematch clause? Anyways, here we are back in the third round with Aaron Blanchfield and Manon Farut, 444, 443, 441, 440 in the third round. Yeah, definitely. I'm hearing a commentary from Michael Bisping. He's right about that. This is the swing round where anything can go from one fighter to the other. So it'll be really interesting to see how one performs from here on, right? Because after this, it goes into the championship rounds. And again, look, as we're witnessing this fight right now, I could really see this fight going into the fifth and final round. And with the way that things are looking right now, the trajectory of that fight can definitely lend itself to that particular result. So 349, 347, 346. Here we go, 333. Again, I'm very surprised with Manon Farut's performance here. I would even argue that she's winning this fight. What do you guys think? Don't forget to like and subscribe as you guys are checking out this channel. Help me become the biggest mixed martial arts channel out there with some of the greatest coverage that I do for different types of combat sports, such as boxing, MMA, maybe even pro wrestling, maybe even BKFC. No matter what is hot, no matter what you guys want to check out and what you guys are interested in, a couple of great videos I want you to check out on the live section. Izzy versus Drickus, UFC's most racist fight that has been signed, where I basically go into the history of the apartheid in South Africa while also going into the technical prowess of Drickus du Plessis, what makes him tough, the tough environment that he lives in South Africa, and the history of Israel Adesanya being bullied in New Zealand. You got to check that out. I think you guys will really love that particular segment that I had made. But now here we are, live and in present, checking out Blanchfield versus Manon Farut. And also, the video that I have out right now with Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul will be an exhibition where I give you guys the confirmed details of the matter. Another video I have out right now, low fighter pay is a myth, and I'm going to explain to you why that is a myth, with Khamzat versus Whitaker. And then I also did a P. Diddy coverage, Prince Diddy versus Prince Diddy Harry involved, where I talk about Prince Harry's involvement with P. Diddy and Daniel Kinahan still in hiding and how that correlates to P. Diddy in the process. So a whole lot of hot videos that I got out right now that you guys can check out while we are covering this live fight with Manon Farut and Aaron Blanchfield in Atlantic City, while we also just covered the boxing match between Tszyu and Fundora, along with the upset by Isaac Cruz versus Romero in the 8th round knockout, or TKO, rather. 1:15 left into the third round of Blanchfield and Manon Farut. So, yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen in that particular boxing type of competitive architecture, right? I think they should do a rematch. But again, if they do a rematch, then what's going to happen with Errol Spence? Maybe what Errol Spence could do is fight in that undercard as a co-main event against a tune-up fight of some sort, right? A little bit of a tune-up fight. Of course, he's going to win that fight going into the winner of Tszyu. I keep calling him Tszyu. It's Tszyu. I don't know if it's Tszyu or Tszyu, but anyways, yeah, Tszyu against Fundora. Either of those fights would be great for Errol Spence, really, if you think about it. All right, 20 seconds left into the regular time of Farut versus Blanchfield. We're going to go into the championship rounds of the 4th and the 5th in 10 seconds from here. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a preview, just on audio form, not so much of not so much of the visual aspect that I did of the video, but let me give you a little taste of Izzy versus Drickus, most racist fight UFC has ever signed. This is from that live video that I did today that I want you guys to check out. Drickus du Plessis as the world champion and Israel Adesanya as the contender. Now, you remember back in June, or I'm sorry, during the summertime, this is the reality of this particular fight right here. Israel Adesanya, the defending champion, supposedly supposed to fight Drickus du Plessis originally, which was supposed to take place in Sydney, Australia. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. That is the preview that I'm showing you for the live stream that I did today. Izzy versus Drickus, UFC's most racist fight that they've ever signed. And we are now heading into the championship rounds with Manon Farut versus Erin Blanchfield. Here we go. 2 more rounds of this fight. All right, round 4. Sorry, here we go. 2 more rounds. That's why I said round 2, but it's the 4th round. Yeah, for real. Her best moments were definitely in round 1, and one can argue that Manon Farut is winning this fight. Just her size alone is just. By the way, very similar to what we had just witnessed with the Fundora versus Tszyu fight. You have someone like Tszyu who's very highly technical, just like Erin Blanchfield is highly technical, but sometimes height and the size really play into a factor. You look at the size of Manon Farut in comparison to Erin Blanchfield, it's really no wonder why Manon Farut looks like she may be winning this fight. Here we go. 405, 404, 403 of the 4th round. Distance strikes. Oh. Okay, here we go. Now they're brawling right now. They're just going at it, swinging for the fences. Oh, so we got rocked there. I believe she just rocked Manon Farut. There we go. Double jab by Manon Farut. 325, 324, 323, 322 of the 4th round. Erin Blanchfield shoots for a double leg, gets stuffed, back up against. Okay, now they're back up again. Low kick by Blanchfield. She's got her in a body lock again, but then Blanchfield sort of stuffs that right there. Double jab by Blanchfield. High kick by Blanchfield. Yeah, definitely the strength factor for Farut will play into here. All right, we are now halfway into round 4. So far, a much better round for Blanchfield than the previous rounds. Her first round was probably her best round, and then after that, one can argue that Manon Farut really was taken over from here. 211, 210. Yeah, that's an interesting point that Paul Felder just made right now. You got to ask yourself, well, where are the kicks by Manon Farut? But again, hey, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it, right? She seems to have been really doing good with the hands and whatnot, right? So now Erin Blanchfield is, I guess, having a much better round. It looks a lot more crisper in terms of her striking, using a lot more combinations, using the punch and the kick combinations. Whereas with Manon Farut, she just seemed a whole lot more satisfied with just the boxing range, obviously using her jabs and her long reach to take advantage of that. 120 left of the 4th round. We are now going into the 5th and final round after this. All right. Much better round. Much better round by yeah, so I have it on my Facebook, right? With Khabib basically jumping over Dylan Dennis, putting his hand over Artem Lobov, and it looks like on the other side of it is Islam Makhachev holding a gun, and in the other one, obviously, he's holding like some water gun, sort of mock shooting at Hezbollah. But this guy who I don't know what his name is, but he wrote on the UFC Wanna Now posting, right? It's basically this satire UFC page. He writes, fans, Khabib and Islam are the pinnacle of martial arts. No trash talk, no drama, only dedication to their work, family, God. We should all strive to be like them, Khabib and Islam. So basically mocking the fact that Khabib and Islam uh, have are sort of lacking this idea of being humble because they got into it with Artem or because Khabib jumped Dylan Dennis after the UFC 229 fight. So I wrote in that context, I said, yeah, listen, a lot of y'all got the game twisted, homies. You think that because we have to be religious and humble that we won't bring some gangster J word to your doorstep. Well, what is this? Hold on. Getting okay. So let me go back to what I was saying. The problem with the Western mindset is that you think being a tough guy means we got to walk around angry at life all the time. A true Muslim will approach you with the same energy you give them. Humble doesn't mean we're gonna let you talk in any way you want with us and trespass against a straight ride on you punks. So this local fighter that we have out here, Angel Deanda, he writes, "Why didn't homie act gangster when Nate Diaz gave him a 209 slap in front of all his homies?" And then he writes, "LOL." So I just asked Angel if he trains with Nate or if that's his homie, or he's just, I guess, asking a legitimate question. Why didn't they? Well, I'll probably answer that right now. If I don't answer him back on a Facebook, I'll just say this, right? We don't know the context of that, right? Like when you're in a scuffle in a crowd of people, and I believe that was taking place at a PFL event. I just think it's one of those situations where, like, okay, well, if he slaps you, it's not like he didn't go and slap him back. And again, we're talking about Nate Diaz, for goodness sakes, right? This guy brings up different narratives of how he sees stories and how he basically looks at, you know, um, different situations, right? Just like with the Leon Edwards fight, he gets beat up by Leon Edwards for 4 rounds. And in the 5th and final round, just like we're watching the 5th and final round with Manon Farouk and Blanchfield right now, he rocks Leon Edwards and then proclaims that if there was no time limit, that he would absolutely beat the living hell out of Leon Edwards, which again, it sounds ludicrous considering that he was beating up Nate Diaz all throughout that fight, got that one lucky shot, and then it made a hero out of Nate Diaz just based on the narrative that he runs by. But yeah, that's just what it is. So here we go. 2:35 left of the 5th and final round. Erin Blanchfield has a bit of a cut in her eye right now. All right, 2 minutes left of the fifth and final round. I told you guys this was going to go to a 5-round fight. From the third round, I told you that the trajectory of this fight is going in that direction. And then plus, you also got to take into consideration there's not a lot of high finish rates in women's flyweights divisions. So here we are with 140 left into the fifth and final round. All right, 126, 125, 123, 122 of the fifth and final round. All right, 30 seconds left into the fifth and final round. Little side kick by Manon Farouk there. Little Holly Holmes style side kick by Manon Farouk. 20 seconds, 19, 18, 17, 16. All right, now we are at 10 seconds left into this fight. Oh, little spinning kick right there by Manon Farouk. I'm sorry. I think Manon Farouk won this fight, and we're about to find out in a couple of seconds as we go to the judges' scorecards. So, as we wait for the judges' scorecards, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a preview to the video that I did earlier today with Izzy and Dricus du Plessis, right? As we await the decision for Erin Blanchfield. 293 was supposed to be Israel Adesanya versus here, Dricus du Plessis. But what had happened with Dricus du Plessis as a result? He said, I'm not going to fight this guy. Why? Because the turnaround was too soon. Even though he really left that fight against Robert Whittaker unscathed. But for whatever reason he just decided, hey, you know what? I'm not going to go and take this fight. So fast forward to September 9th, 2023. Sean Strickland ends up winning that fight. And he makes a great account of himself. And to a lot of people's surprise, they were like, I cannot believe this. I cannot believe that Sean Strickland was able to get the win here. But he did. And once again, he ruined the plans of the UFC. After that fight, Israel Adesanya had decided, you know what, I'm going to hang it up. Reason being, the guy just really had an insane active record. He was just constantly active, constantly fighting, one fight after another, one fight after another. So some of the most busiest. All right, so guys, check out that video. Izzy versus Dricus, UFC's most racist fight has been signed. And the unanimous decision win for this fight, Manon Farouk wins. There it is. Finally defeats the hype train of Erin Blanchfield, and she's signaling to wrap a belt around her. All right, guys, we're going to listen to her post-fight interview, and then we're going to call it a night. Let's check this out. They asked, "Are you willing to fight again or coach in the Ultimate Fighter, or just sit in the sideline?" She said that she wants her title shot. Hey, rightfully earned. I mean, come on. She beat Erin Blanchfield, not an easy task, so she definitely earned this one. It's got the longest active win streak right now. 7 wins in a row. All right. Well, guys, we're going to call it a night on that one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you guys soon. Thank you for following this coverage, doing both sports, boxing and MMA. Great night of fights on both sides of both sports. And I will see you guys soon on the next track and the next content. But again, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Take a look at all my new videos that I have out. Izzy versus Drickus, UFC's most racist fight, has been signed for UFC 305. And all the other videos that follow that, after that, before that, and everything in between. Inshallah. We will see you guys soon.